What's going on, gurus? It's Russell Clay here for another video. Today we're going to be discussing 2022 rookie drafts, 2022 rookie rankings, how to evaluate all of that, and how to build out these dynasty teams that we've been working on. I know some of you have been with Fantasy Guru for quite a while. Some of you are new. We are all in different timelines on our dynasty leagues. So we are going to talk about all of that here and break down what we need to break down. As I mentioned, I'm Russell Clay. You can follow me on Twitter at Russell J. Clay. So, without further ado, also, you can find my content, my written content, my rankings, my podcasts, my live streams, all that good stuff. You can find that over at fantasyguru.com, which is the website. We're going to be looking at our consensus rankings today and sort of place together all of that. So without further ado, let's get into it. 2022 class, a class that of rookies that I haven't necessarily been excited about from the beginning. All those high-end premium prospects we looked for were in that 2021 class. We do have some nice receivers here. We do have some solid running backs at the top in Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. But beyond that, ladies and gentlemen, we are struggling. So, but again, the last time we had a really bad rookie class, let's take a look. When was the last time that happened? 2014, I believe. That was... No, not 2014. Sorry, 2013. 2014 was an awesome year. So this is what we had in 2013. Not much going on. Tavon Austin was the first skill position player off the board, followed by DeAndre Hopkins and Cordero Patterson. So super ugly. EJ Manuel and Geno Smith were the top two quarterbacks. Gio Bernard was RB1, which, not the worst bust in the world. But there was a lot of value in this class. It just didn't come from the high-end positions we normally get it. When we look at a guy like Travis Kelce, dealt with injuries and also almost got kicked off Cincinnati's team, 23-year-old tight end, obviously became one of the best tight ends in the league. But it wasn't obvious at the time. In 2013, that was not obvious. Same thing with Keenan Allen. Ran a 4.7 at his pro day, struggled with injuries his final couple seasons, and his production was questionable beyond his freshman and sophomore year. So a lot of that. Robert Woods was kind of getting edged out by Marquise Lee by the end. Zach Ertz, it was tough to see. And then Le'Veon Bell had the nice size-adjusted athleticism, but it wasn't super obvious. Once he went to Pittsburgh, it was like, all right, maybe there's something here, but he didn't have great efficiency in college. So a lot of these guys, the best ones that came from this class, were not obvious, and that's what I see here. Beyond Breece Hall, which could be, a pretty good pick here. One of the best prospects of the last couple years. I wouldn't have him above Najee or Travis Etienne, so I think that's important context to have. But he's very good. Very, very good prospect out of Iowa State. We all have him as our RB1. These are the Fantasy Guru consensus dynasty rankings. And as you'll see in this rookie draft I'm about to go through with you guys, this is a very volatile class beyond Breece Hall. So he feels safe to me. Who knows what that means with injuries and all that good stuff. But for now, I'm going to be confident in Breece Hall. Kenneth Walker, a final year type of emergence, was a former Wake Forest running back. I really like him, tested out really well. Don't love his year one situation, but again, we're not always playing Dynasty for year one, and we don't necessarily know what the situation is going to be like with Rashad Penny there, the oft-injured Rashad Penny. So we don't know what Walker's role is going to be. So that's just worth noting there. And then we have this wide receiver class, which is hard to evaluate from a rankings perspective, purely because they're all very different. Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, I guess, are similar. But Jamison Williams, Treylon Burks, and Drake London are just all totally different archetypes. If we're evaluating wide receivers, we're not using the same scoring system for any of these guys. They are going to do very different things in the NFL, which is something I've preached for many years now. Figure out what type of wide receiver they are first. So, when looking at this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 first-round wide receivers. That is a good thing. We have 2 in the top 10 in Drake London and Garrett Wilson. That is a good thing. Jamison Williams went top 15. Treylon Burks, first round. Chris Olave as well. And Jahan Dotson at 16 to the Commanders for year one might be a little sketchy, but you don't draft a guy in the first round unless you think he's going to eventually shift into your number one option in your offense. So Jahan Dotson, a nice little value that we will talk about in a bit. Christian Watson, George Pickens, David Bell, John Mechie, a really, really fun quadruplet in rookie drafts. Alec Pierce you can throw in there as well as sort of a valuable guy. A lot of wide receivers went in the top couple rounds this year. Let's take a look at that 2022 wide receiver class. It was just chock full of first and second round wide receivers. Sky Moore, Tyquan Thornton, Wan'Dale Robinson as well. A bunch of third round guys, Velus Jones, Jalen Tolbert, David Bell, Danny Gray. So that's really good for us. That kind of averages out the stank of this tight end class. Trey McBride, I'm not that in on him. I do like Jelani Woods, but only at a value. Like him more in tight end premium than anything else. Doubt we get much out of him in year one. So yeah, again, it's a lot like the 2013 class in that I don't love the quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett's fine, first round pick. I'm willing to invest in Pittsburgh's infrastructure there more so than Pickett. But Ritter, Willis, and Corello went third round. Those aren't good odds for them to hit. I have done 7 or 8 rookie drafts so far, and I have not ended up with any quarterbacks. So do with that what you will. I was super heavy into the quarterbacks last year, so some teams don't need them. And also, I pick my spots. So that's the way that goes. This running back class is confusing. I will say the James Cook in the second round pick was a little confusing to me at the time. I love him with Josh Allen, though. I think that's an interesting spot for him, and I could definitely see him emerging into a high-end third down back with nice fantasy upside. Maybe not that RB1, maybe not like his brother Dalvin, but 200 touches with 80 of them being receptions is certainly a valuable fantasy situation for me. Rachaad White, we don't know what this Tampa Bay offense is going to look like in a year, never mind 3 months. Leonard Fournette has had injuries in the past, and I don't think they're going to run him into the ground in the regular season. They certainly didn't last year. So I do like his upside as a receiver, as a high-end athlete at a nice size. Third round pick as well, so I like that. Tyrion Davis-Price, Brian Robinson. Those are 2 guys I'm taking shots on in all formats. I like Antonio Gibson, and I like him a little more in season long than other people right now, but I've thought Brian Robinson was an underrated running back prospect for a while now, and it's showing in rookie drafts. He's dropping to the second or third round. That's crazy to me, especially with some of these guys in previous years going in round 1 as third round draft picks. So I like him, picking my spots there. I like Isaiah Spiller in the Chargers. Don't like that he fell to the 4th round, but do think there is upside there if anything happens to Austin Eckler. Pierre Strong, another guy I'm interested in. as a receiving down back. Maybe he can shift into that James White role. And then the rest is just kind of a mishmash. Dameon Pierce seems like people are going to be in on him. I'm not quite as excited. Didn't love his profile at Florida. But, I do respect the open depth chart there on Houston, so I can certainly see the value there. So there you go. That is the review. If you want to check out these rankings, definitely go over to fantasyguru.com. You can not only get my rankings, you can get Jeff, Tyler, Rich, Armando, the whole crew and cast over at fantasyguru.com. So definitely go check that out. All right, now let's jump into the rookie draft, which is how this content started. So we have all that knowledge about the rankings. I know where I want all my guys at this point. So how are we putting this into practice in our rookie drafts? So Superflex is always different than one quarterback, though in this class it's not much different other than Kenny Pickett going from the 108 range down to the mid to late second range. So what are we looking at in this rookie draft? We are seeing first tier of Breece Hall. He's gone 101 in every rookie draft I've done, and I'd imagine that's the case for just about everybody. And then we have this enormous tier from 102 to 107, which I don't think there's much of a difference at all. Garrett Wilson is my number one wide receiver in this class, and he's sometimes going in that 106, 107 range. If you can get him there, I love that. I absolutely love that. I think Garrett Wilson is an excellent wide receiver, someone that really profiles out well for the NFL level, and is a guy kind of like that Justin Jefferson. I don't think he's Justin Jefferson quality, but that Justin Jefferson archetype of people aren't that interested in him, don't love the situation for year one, but are ignoring the fantastic profile. 21 years old, tested out really well at the combine. Let's take a look at this. 4.38 speed, first round pick, was on an immensely competitive depth chart. Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Chris Olave and a bunch of other guys are there, and he was, one of the best options. And I think maybe because he's not 200 pounds, people are kind of not too excited about him, but he went top 10. He went to a team where I think he can be the best wide receiver. Everyone's kind of locking in Elijah Moore as the best wide receiver on that team. I don't think so. I think Garrett Wilson he was a better prospect than Elijah Moore, and I don't see why he wouldn't be better. So something to think about there. But Drake London, he's pretty much the consensus second pick right now. But you'll see Treylon Burks, Kenneth Walker kind of go ahead of him a lot. I don't really care who you pick. These are all good prospects, and it's a mishmash. Drake London's probably the optimal 102 pick from an ADP, average draft position standpoint. The most dynasty drafters are picking Drake London at 102. So from a market value standpoint, you're looking at Drake London. That's the guy people are going to trade up for at the 102. That's what people want. I don't hate it. So that's what we know. Treylon Burks in there as well. And then RB needy teams, I'm always the type of guy that goes BPA. Who's my 102? Okay, I'm going with that. That's my favorite player in this class. However, if you are an RB needy team, and there are many of them in all dynasty leagues at this point with how the running back landscape is sort of shaping, go with Kenneth Walker if you need a running back at the 103. 102, you definitely want to try to trade down, maybe get a future second or third round rookie pick. If you're in that 102 spot, try to trade down to the 103, 104, 105. But yeah, try to get Kenneth Walker. I mean, I don't love it. I don't love him in Seattle, but I do love snagging a quality running back that has market value, that has potentially season-long value. It's really hard to get those guys, and you're potentially getting a discount with Walker right now because people hate that situation. So I'm buying in this 103 to 105 range Walker. I think you can go as early as 103 and it be fine. Don't worry about value if you are an RB needy team. And RB needy, I mean, you have one RB1 candidate and then the rest are like RB3s, RB4s. So that's what I'm talking about there. If you have a couple of guys already in your depth chart, then you can sort of wait that out and fire off. But yeah, there's some good quality wide receivers here. But they don't need to be taken. And again, as you kind of get down here, if you're going BPA, just take the wide receivers. Don't sweat it. It's a good pick. Garrett Wilson's a good pick. Chris Olave's a great pick at 107. And, again, there's going to be wide variance with all these picks this year. That's the way it goes. So if you don't get, quote-unquote, your guy, don't be afraid to mix it up. If you mixed it up, if you liked Henry Ruggs and you took Justin Jefferson a few years ago, or, with that 2018 running back class, if you mixed it up and took Alvin Kamara, third round running back out of Tennessee, you ended up doing pretty good. Sometimes mixing it up, you can get a little lucky, even though you didn't love the profiles as much as you should have. So, clear teardrop from 107 to 108, but we do have Sky Moore here, second round pick, going to Patrick Mahomes. That is a lovely, lovely situation. Let's take a look at Sky Moore. 4.41, not the most athletic guy, but that Golden Tate, 5'10", 191, second round pick. Pretty nice production profile despite being at a mid-major. I like him. I think some people are jumping the gun. I don't know that he's going to be a year one guy. He's going to a contender. He's not necessarily, fully pro ready yet. Maybe he is. Maybe he can. But I think he's being priced in as a guaranteed year one production guy. I don't necessarily see that. Same thing with Christian Watson. And what's interesting is, George Pickens was a second-round pick as well, but he's being priced in as they're not going to use him in year one, and those other two are. That's not always the case. So we saw this with Chase Claypool a few years ago. Oh, they're not going to use Chase Claypool in year one. They have all these other guys, and then they did end up using him in year one. So if you like George Pickens, don't be afraid to pick him over Sky Moore and Christian Watson. I have no problem with that. Love James Cook here, as I said. I know there's going to be a lot of people that are fading James Cook, and I'm fine with that. But for me personally, I think this is a great value range for him. And speaking of value, I love 110 to 112 in this rookie class. So I feel like if you won your Dynasty League in 2021, you're in a great spot to find value. These guys are premium picks. And it's certainly a tier down from this one, but not as much as previous years. So when you're looking at a guy like Jahan Dotson, a first round wide receiver going 112, and sometimes I'm seeing him in Superflex go down to the 202, 203 range. Don't let that happen. Don't let other owners get Jahan Dotson in the mid to late second round. Maybe late's a stretch, but don't let him fall back past that 201. I am seeing that happen, and I'm doing whatever I can to enforce that. Sometimes in a Dynasty League, you got to be the enforcer. You got to be the hockey player. Get up off the bench and rough somebody up. Make a trade, get into that 201 range, and take Dotson so somebody else can't get him. Great analogy, Russ. So That tier's great. If you have picks in there, do not trade it. You're not going to get equal value to the player quality you're getting. People are going to be trying to move into that range. Don't let them do it. People are going to be trying to, trade down 107 to 112 to get Dotson. If you really like Sky Moore, you can do it, but don't take 75 cents for a dollar here. Make sure you legitimately get something make sure the guy trading down isn't getting a little too much on top of that pick, because it's not that big of a difference. I would take Jahan Dotson over Sky Moore. So there's a little perspective there. Then we move into this mid to late second round with Rachaad White, Isaiah Spiller, David Bell, a guy that many people like, Wan'Dale Robinson, Dameon Pierce, another one the fantasy community really likes. I'm not quite as sold as I mentioned, but there's this weird tier, and I'm calling this the dead zone after Rachaad White. I really like Rachaad White. Sometimes he's going later, so that tier can extend. But if we're drafting, and this went as chalky as I could have it, this is how I would pretty much draft. Isaiah Spiller is not someone you want to take at 203. I did do that here. I do need running back. I am a running back needy team in this 2022 league, and I am a contender, so I'm taking the shot on Spiller because I am a win now team. Heading towards the end of my apex of this dynasty team, and that's what I was talking about with, timing your dynasty team and having, that's where it depends who you take here. I would not normally take Isaiah Spiller. I would take one of the wide receivers, David Bell or Wan'Dale Robinson or Alec Pierce at 203 if I was not running back needy, but I am. So that's how that goes. However, this is a dead zone. I don't love any of these picks up to Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson going very late. He should be going here, I think. Brian Robinson should be going mid to early second round of rookie drafts, and he's not. He's going in the third round because he's perceived as, Antonio Gibson's there. But much like Tony Pollard a few years ago, the perception doesn't necessarily match the handcuff value. So because the upside appears capped for Brian Robinson, people assume there's a really low ceiling, but that's not the case. One injury and Brian Robinson's boom shot up in value. And also they're underrating that role as sort of a 2-down grinder. It's not going to be a great value, but it could present fantasy value. And mid-season, when you have a guy who can get 10 to 15 touches, that's going to be like way more valuable than where he's going in rookie drafts right now. So the logic here, also add in the upside of a guy who played for Alabama, finally got starter snaps there in his final season, was competing with just immense guys like Najee Harris for most of his career. Who's to say there isn't more upside there for him as a player? Antonio Gibson only has a few more years there. Wouldn't be surprised to see Brian Robinson as a really nice handcuff, and he's not being valued that way in either dynasty or redraft right now. He's going in like round 18 of best ball drafts. So that's the stance there. And then after this, it's just gnarly, fellas, ladies, gentlemen. I like Tyrion Davis-Price. I like Tyquan Thornton as a second-round wide receiver you can get in the third round of rookie drafts. Sometimes he's going even later than where he is here. I like Jelani Woods as an upside tight end. Very few tight ends max out the sliders of athleticism like Jelani Woods did. Look at that massive athletic profile. Third round pick with that massive athletic profile. There's Jared Cook upside here. Maybe not year one. And again, Jared Cook took a long time to sort of come into his own. But I think we can see, Jared Cook fantasy upside. That's huge for a dynasty league if you can hit that type of player. David Bell, an interesting wide receiver prospect. Others are much higher on him, but I'm willing to take shots on him. Interesting player. Wan'Dale Robinson, a gadget player out of Kentucky. I do see some upside here with his athletic profile and sort of college profile at Kentucky, but he's kind of in a weird situation right now. Haven't been getting much of him in rookie drafts, mostly because I've been drafting Brian Robinson and Tyrion Davis-Price. Again, I have a lot of running back needy teams, so Rachaad White also in that range makes it mean I'm not going to get much of some of these other guys. Alec Pierce, again, an interesting player, nice athletic profile, played well at Cincinnati over his final couple years, but not a player that I've been getting a ton of. I think he's viable, especially with Matt Ryan there, but he's not a player I'm getting a ton of so far. If you can get him in that mid to late second round pick, I think that's a great value range for his upside here. And maybe he makes a splash in year one. So that's kind of where things thin out. Again, this is a very light rookie draft. Wide receivers are carrying it. And once you get past this Brian Robinson, Tyrion Davis-Price tier, we're looking at some really, really ugly results. So, Danny Gray, a guy I've taken a few shots on. Velus Jones, a guy I really liked out of Tennessee. In context, he's going third or fourth round of rookie drafts, despite being a third-round pick to a team with a low-end depth chart. Velus Jones, not a guy who really starred in college. He played on some USC teams with some monstrous prospects, but you can't really deny this athletic profile here. 4.31 at 204 pounds, 97th percentile. Speed, score. I kind of look at him like Van Jefferson. I like this comparison here a little bit, not from a play style, but from a this guy started in the SEC and Power 5 schools for 3 or 4 years, and provided a lot of versatility on offense and on special teams. And an NFL team saw enough to take a shot on him in the third round of the NFL draft. He is older, but there is not many players to scale on that Chicago Bears depth chart. So just something to think about there. Greg Dulcich, a guy I liked before he went to Denver. I really like Albert Okwuegbunam, and I don't think Dulcich is going to be able to beat him out in year one or year two or year three. So that kind of sucks there, because I did like Dulcich as a tight end prospect, especially from a receiving perspective. Yeah. Romeo Doubs, liked him at Nevada. Didn't love that he fell to the fourth round, but he's a really nice deep target player, can really show off his ball skills at times. And with Aaron Rodgers, I mean, if he gets a shot here, I could see him emerging. I did like that pick at 410. But again, when we get to the fourth round of rookie drafts, these are churn and burn rounds. We're not connected. We're not locked into any of these guys. They all have outs. Isaiah Pacheco, Kansas City, if there's multiple injuries, maybe. Kyron Williams, fifth-round pick, but to a Rams team that obviously has a great offense. Keontae Ingram, he had to compete with Bijan Robinson in his final season, or in his first couple seasons, and that's That's tough. Um, let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know. This is ugly. So, Ty Chandler's a guy I'm semi interested in. Kevin Harris, a guy that has a very monstrous depth chart to climb here with Ramondre Stevenson, Pierre Strong, and Damian Harris. So, tough to see him scaling that depth chart in year one with so many higher investments than him on the depth chart. But, if injuries happen, maybe he can hop up there. But yeah, this is kind of how rookie drafts are looking for me. It's ugly this year. I don't see as much value as previous years. But as I mentioned, Pierre Strong, Velus Jones, Danny Gray, Jelani Woods, Brian Robinson are guys I really like. Tyquan Thornton as a value as well. I had someone in the Fantasy Guru Discord asking about Justin Ross today. Hate that he went undrafted. Hate it. That just means there's severe red flags on his profile from an injury standpoint. I still love his talent, but it's hard to get too optimistic. That's why he's a 4th-round rookie pick. If you want to take him there, I love it. As I said, I'm not attached to any of these guys. Draft Justin Ross if he emerges there. It's just with Juju there, Sky Moore there, 2nd-round wide receiver. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, none of those guys are, pristine, but they're real NFL wide receivers who have been starters before. That's going to be tough for him to beat out. Maybe he makes the roster, though. So, anyway, thank you all for tuning in. As I said, if you want to get any of my content, definitely head over to fantasyguru.com. And as always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for liking and subscribing the video because I know you've already done that by this time. And I will see you next time.